Isn't that a crazy start to a video? Well, it's not for bobcats. Those are bobcat screams and calls. I'm sure more than once somebody's been scared out of the woods by hearing that. Certainly an ominous scream and really unusual calls. Welcome back to Trail Camera Adventures, Mount St. Helens. I'm John Nicholson, and I've been exploring the forests around Mount St. Helens, Washington for over 20 years, setting trail cameras for pictures and videos. Even though I've been doing this for a long time, a couple years ago, I decided to start this channel to help leave videos and document animal wildlife so everybody could enjoy it. Not everybody has the opportunity to get out and see the beautiful forests that I do with my dogs, with my hounds, and it's fascinating what these animals do, what they look like, how they react in the forest on their own when nobody's looking other than the cameras. Well, this one's all about bobcats. I've pulled together lots of my videos and pictures of bobcats so we can just sit back and watch them in their natural environment doing bobcat things, and we're going to talk about them. Hopefully I can share some information with you, some facts that you'll find really interesting, as well as watching the videos, of course. This collection of videos and pictures has got at least 2 or 3 dozen different bobcats. You'll see all sorts of sizes, male and female. You'll probably notice the different color patterns that they have. Some of them are incredibly beautiful. Everything ranging from browns and oranges. Some of them have an awful lot of white on their bellies, and all of them, as they get older and bigger, I've noticed they start to gray and get a little bit darker and a little bit blacker. I'll get bobcat videos kind of all over the place, but not normally out in the open. They're predators. They usually work the edges of like the woods or a really thick brush pile. They're ambush predators. They like catching birds, but they will also kill and eat animals as big as deer. So bobcats really eat a variety of animals, mice, rats, squirrels. If they can get your chickens, they will get them. They really like the smaller deer, fawns, birds. They'll also eat feral cats, cottontails, hares, and if there is a large animal that's a roadkill, like an elk on the side of the road, that is a great place to set up a camera because the bobcats will come in and eat that as well. Near the end of this video, I have some really great footage of a bobcat that's found a dead elk near the side of the road. That bobcat must have come back for over 2 weeks working on that elk, as well as the coyotes and ravens and buzzards and everything else that was coming in there. In this video, the ravens squawking have brought in a bobcat. The ravens are working on an old deer carcass, and the bobcat, being a scavenger, has come in and wants some too. You know, the first half of this video is bobcats during the daytime because they're just so beautiful, and it makes for better video to watch at daytime, but they're most active at nighttime. I have way more videos of them at night. You're going to see a lot of different sizes of bobcats in this video. The males in general are bigger and stockier than the females. An adult bobcat will weigh 15, 20, 25 pounds. There are some in here that are bigger than that. An exceptionally big bobcat would be 30 to 40 pounds. And on the other extreme of that, the kittens, the little ones, they're like house cats. In fact, a small bobcat walking around in the wild looks just like a loose feral cat that you might see in your neighborhood, with the exception of it has that short tail, which is a bobtail, which that's where the name comes from, bobcat. You know, they're very active during the night. They travel greater distances. They're definitely hunting most of the night. It's easier to ambush birds and things that are settled down and sleeping for them in the nighttime. But if you want to run into one and see them, the best time would be early in the morning or just before it gets dark. A great place to put your trail cameras for bobcats are going to be along the edge of a pond or a swamp, any running water, because they'll kind of go along the edge looking for frogs and crickets and fish. They will actually fish. There's some great video, I don't have it, but of bobcats jumping in and catching live salmon that are the spawning going up the river. But if you set a few trail cameras up on some deer venison or a roadkill rabbit or something like that, sooner or later at night the bobcats will show up and start gnawing on it. You'll see quite a bit of that in this video. You know, in the wintertime, their coats really thicken up and they seem impervious to the nasty weather, the cold weather, the sleet and the rain that comes down here in the Pacific Northwest so much. There'll be times where the weather has been just so bad, the only thing that shows up are the bobcats. They go through it quite well. And actually, if it's really that rainy and stormy, it might be easier for them to hunt, to catch the birds that are all huddled up inside the bushes and stuff like that. So bobcats, they can take the weather. Bobcats have really large eyes that are very well adapted to see in the dark, like most of the nocturnal creatures. Their pupils are slit-shaped, kind of elliptically shaped in bright light, but in low light, which is dusk or dark and dawn, they can open it real wide to admit what little light is available so they can see really well. You know, I stumbled across an old deer kill. I'm not sure how it died, but I decided to set up some trail cameras there, and there wasn't a lot of meat left on the bone, but the bobcats, they just kept coming in for weeks. This big male, I got videos of it 2-3 weeks after all the meat was off the bones. It was just a regular in this area. Big, beautiful cat. Now watch closely on this next clip. I'm sure you probably saw this behavior earlier in the video. This is called scent marking. Watch when the cat stops, lifts its back tail, sprays on a bush, and moves on. Here it is again in slow motion. See him lift his tail. There's a little spray that comes out of there, and then he moves on. So scent marking is used by a lot of predators, bears, mountain lions, also bobcats, as a way to leave their calling card for a variety of reasons. Of course, it's all theorized, but we see them doing it. We see it works. There's cats that probably don't want to share the resources. Territory and food might be tight, and so they're marking that this is theirs. So if an outsider comes in, smells that, might realize that, well, maybe I shouldn't be infringing on somebody else's territory. Another reason may be for mating. If there's a female that's looking for a male, well, that's certainly a good way to leave your mark and your calling card, and hey, come check me out, or the other way around. So there's also an awful lot of scent marking that occurs around a female's den. They don't necessarily want transient bobcats coming through when they've got a litter of kittens in there, so there's an awful lot of scent marking that occurs right around the dens. Now there's some other markings that I'll find from time to time, not really that common, but they're claw marks in trees. It'll be about 1 or 2 feet from the base of the tree, and the claw marks will sometimes be straight up and down, but more often than not kind of wrap around the tree and come down at an angle. And It's, mountain lions will do this too, but it's a lot higher and a lot bigger and deeper scratches. Basically, the bobcats do the same thing, and that, I believe, is almost always a territory edge marker. It's like a corner post of, this is my spot, you stay on that side. Okay, now watch this capture. This is a fantastic capture. This is a Bobcat Scrape. Now they'll prepare a nice spot to defecate by scraping in the ground. It's theorized that this is a territory thing, but who really knows? And if you're brave enough to put your nose down on that scrape area and smell it, they have a distinctive urine smell. So once you smell it, you'll know it. And if you see a scrape area in the leaves, usually underneath a cedar tree, is a real common area, and you smell it, you'll know for sure that that's what it is. If you analyze the scrape real close, you'll see where both back paws are pushing back. It'll be a total size of maybe a little bit bigger than a saucer, and a mountain lion will do almost exactly the same thing, except the scrape and pad marks are about the size of a full plate. So both cougars and bobcats kind of do the same kind of scraping. This little bush here gets scent marked all the time, and I've seen it scent marked by at least 2 or 3 different bobcats. It's a major territory mark. This is definitely a different cat. You can tell by the markings, the shape of the cat, the dark markings on its leg, and just by the actions, the way it's smelling, checking out the area. It may not belong there. It's in on somebody else's territory. Probably smells those deer bones and wants to check it out too. This is another great capture. Check out this bobcat smelling the scent marking bush. You can tell he's wondering who's been here and not sure what his next move is going to be. The next 10 minutes of this video is going to be this beautiful bobcat working on a dead elk. This elk was about 100 yards off the main highway. It had died because of hoof rot, and the coyotes and the buzzards and the ravens and everything were coming in. I set the trail cameras up, and about 2 or 3 weeks into it, this bobcat shows up, and he must have spent a whole week working on this elk. Actually, at one point, crawling inside the cavity. So this is one well-fed bobcat who probably thought they had the greatest score of all time. I'm going to go ahead and leave you here, and thank you for watching another episode of Trail Camera Adventures. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much. We've grown an awful lot in the last 2 years. If you're not, please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out. It helps the channel. And if you wouldn't mind, send us a comment. I read all of them, and I reply to almost all of them. And I'd love to hear your stories. If you had an encounter with a bobcat, in the woods or even in your neighborhood, tell us your story. People love to read those comments. So thank you very much for myself, for my friends, and my hounds. You can hear them in the background, for watching Trail Camera Adventures.